Hi, everybody. Welcome to Ramblemancy. Hold on. Okay, we're good. Hi, welcome. Hello, everyone. Good to
Hello.
see you. We are here with some good old-fashioned rambling. Tonight we have our guest Kaitlin, who is gonna be talking with us about the kids on bikes genre. But first, before we get into that, we've got some quick announcements. First of all. And so it came from the loop, which actually fits into this kids on bikes genre. In fact, I believe there are
hmm
literally kids on bikes in the show.
Yes, there are.
Um,
We have three whole bikes.
three whole bikes between four
Yep.
characters. um, Caitlin is GMing that, and that is the final episode
I
is
know.
on Wednesday.
Ugh,
That's so
finale.
wild.
Wow.
Yeah, crazy. But also as of this morning, afternoon, whatever, it depends on what time zone you're in. We we the most recent episode is actually up on YouTube. And Ink and Stories, I actually have been kind of following your freaking out about stuff, which is excellent. So yeah, thanks for being here. Yes, we love our VOD squad.
Thank you, VOD Squad.
Oh gosh. The other announcement, which I told myself I wasn't gonna forget, and here I am not forgetting. Um, the Infinite Horizon season 1 recap video is done. It is done.
Yeah.
It will be on YouTube on Monday
Monday.
at 12:15 p.m. Pacific time, because YouTube is weird and no longer allows you to do anything except on like the 15-minute and 45 minutes. So I don't know what that's about. But anyway,
For variety.
for variety, I don't know what that's about. But anyway, 12:15 p.m., a very specific time on Monday.
So if you haven't seen season one, this is literally 80 to 90 hours of content condensed into about 15 minutes. So you can jump right
Yeah.
into season two if you want.
Yeah. And
That's
also
crazy.
also get a good refresher if you have seen season 1. So yeah. Yeah, all these folks have seen it. Olivia has seen it. So yes.
Yeah. It's there's a ton of amazing art in it too. Like it is just a little bit an homage to all of the amazing art
Yeah.
that best stream granddad Lemon Twist has done for us
Yeah.
over the course of season 1 of Infinite Horizon.
Yeah, I know. Yes, Olivia has seen it. And Rainy Keys VOD Squad. Yes, Rainy Keys also has the very first Infinite Horizon fan art that there ever was. Rainy Keys, by Rainy Keys, some Mason fan art is also in the video. So.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Love it. Oh, you can't see the hat, but I'm wearing it.
Freeman's having some illumination malfunctions today, so
Yep.
we're just
A little spooky.
It's still Freeman,
I
but
will-
slightly darker.
Yes. Oh, yes. Yeah. The spooky side.
Every Ramblemancy now until Halloween, one more person's lights will go out
Yeah.
until.
Oh, I've been waiting. Like this is gonna go out someday. I mean, I've got like
Yeah.
2 others and also replacement bulbs, but still, like this is gonna go soon. Like it's just biding its time. All right, I think those are really our. Rainy says Swear Breeze Peach art was before mine. I'm not sure it was. I think they were the same day, but I'm pretty sure you got yours posted first. I'm pretty sure. But
Yeah, I think so.
anyway, what was I gonna say? Right. Tomorrow, I believe we are streaming. Are we still streaming Conan Exiles?
Yes?
I think
Think
so.
so? I don't know. Are we, Lucas?
I
Did
don't
something
know.
happen?
We're literally the only 2 people who have any say
Yeah,
over whether
yeah,
that's
you guys-
happening, and we don't know.
Lucas, who's sailing this
Who's
ship?
Oh, wait.
driving this thing?
I remember when. I remember. I can tell you.
I announced it on Wednesday, so
It's
yes.
happening. All right, Caitlin says it's happening, so it's law
That
now.
means it's happening.
Don't make me a liar.
All right. So, I think that's pretty much everything. As far as announcements go. Actually, I do have one more announcement, and this one is pretty important. So give me a second. It's important enough that I actually wrote it out ahead of time, which is a thing I never do. So here we go. Caitlin, last week I asked you if you wanted to be on Ramblemancy closer to your birthday weekend, and you responded by telling me that you'd never let me trap you like that. So I, being me, took that as a challenge and unilaterally decided to extend your birthday a whole week to today so we could get birthday wishes and nice messages to you on stream. So here we are.
Motherfucker.
First of all,
This is entrapment.
First of all, I wanted to say how incredibly lucky I feel to be able to work side by side with you all the time. You're a fantastic creative powerhouse who never fails to leave me in awe of what you can do, in spite of your protestations to the contrary. Professionally, you're an inspiration to me, and it's rare that I encounter a creative problem where I don't first think, how would Kaitlin handle this? You've impacted my life in more ways than just as a colleague, though. What started out as my commissioning you for some art for Rule of Lore turned into one of the most important and cherished friendships I have in my life. There's no way I'm going to be able to get everything meaningful into this message, but everything I would say to you here, you already know. Every moment, from late night chats about everything and nothing to Zoom calls where we just work in silence, taking occasional breaks from work to air our grievances about the state of the world or programs we're working with, to texting each other reassurances that we'll be okay. My life has only improved since we became friends. I look up to you and cherish you in so many ways that even I, wordy motherfucker though I am, could not find words for them. So instead of trying, I'm just going to let other people help me with that. Thank you so much for existing, for being who you are, for being my friend, and the happiest of happy birthdays to you, my dear friend.
Fuck you. Love you, buddy.
Oh,
The
God.
setup. Thanks, Lucas.
So I believe, just to help me out with this, I have enlisted the help of various folks from your Discord and from around the internet, and everybody was in on it. And so a bunch of people are here just to say some nice things to you.
In case you'd forgotten, we do still have the invisible not safe for
Oh,
Kaitlin
fuck.
channel for
Oh,
plotting
God.
these crimes.
Not
What?
safe for Caitlin's channel. Oh, shit.
So I've got a whole bunch of them that you can see right now in the chat, a bunch of happy birthday messages. Jade Bender says, we love you, Kaitlin, and I agree. Hessen Yongdi says, you are an amazing inspiration in both life and art, an all-around good organism. Keep being awesome, and happy birthday. Gemini Lightning says, happy early birthday. Hope we get to have a birthday stream. Same. Bunch of happy early birthdays. Rainy Keys says, Kaitlin, I keep on quoting, take care of your corporeal form, so like you've imprinted a lot on myself.
Oh.
Yeah, so Camburgers are here in force. I love that so much.
God, that cracks me up every time.
John Newman says,
Sup, Camburgers?
Caitlin, you are wonderful, and we appreciate you. Thank you for sharing so much of yourself with all of us. I also have a message that was sent to me from Gilly Tweed earlier today because they couldn't be here. And it says, Caitlin, it's been great being your mod. Please keep being the wholesome bean that you are.
I will hang up on this call. I will turn this stream around. Aww.
We do it because we love you very much.
Yeah. Heart of
Love you
Handprints.
guys.
We love you too. Heart of Handprints says, Caitlin, you are the reason that I have found so many things and so much content that I have grown to love. Thank you.
You motherfucker should go make me cry live on the internet. It hasn't even been a year since the last time.
Yeah, this shit's gonna keep rolling. It's just gonna keep going because I decided that your birthday was gonna start a week early this year. So
Oh, fuck.
We ain't even close to
Oh.
finished yet.
oh, there's more.
Oh
Oh,
god.
shit, Jesus.
Olivia says, you were rad. Happy early birthday. So happy to know such a great friend with a cool sword.
Let's talk about my sword instead. How about that?
Jade Bender says, we adore the safe and creative space that the USS Moss has become. Oh, Captain, my captain.
Oh.
And Geek Out says, Caitlin, you are an amazing GM. Not surprised because you've already been a masterful storyteller through your amazing art. Can't wait to see whatever's next. I know it's going to be amazing. And did I say amazing a lot? You did, but you said it the appropriate amount, I think. Everyone not Caitlin, be sure to check the NSFK channel in the local galaxy, i.e. the starship, Caitlin's Discord.
It's okay, I don't have access to it anyways.
Caitlin doesn't have access to it.
The only Kaitlin free zone.
Alpha Dean, welcome and hello.
Hello.
Dean, we are extending Caitlin's birthday because she refused to allow me to bring her on stream closer to her birthday, so we're starting it a week early because she's here right now. So just for some context. And Olivia says, I love when Caitlin makes me cry looking at art for a movie I have not seen.
Right? I haven't even seen the It movies, and then like I see your It art, and I'm like,
Slap that on my resume.
That's a good line for your CV. Have made people cry on Twitter with my It art.
Yeah. Let's see. What else do I see? Karaoke Nancy says, hey, I think you're really cool. I like you a lot. Maybe we can hang out or something.
Hey, I think you're really cool. I like you a lot. Maybe we can hang out or something
It's the
sometime.
best. Yeah, it's the best. I love that so much. And this cat lady says, happy birthday, Caitlin, in all caps. Let's see. Fair enough, Jade Bender. It's not a completely Caitlin free zone. Just a specifically this Caitlin free zone.
Where's that video of the cat yelling at the cat in the cabinet?
Caitlin,
Caitlin,
get out.
get out. What are you doing? Get out.
That's anytime we have to like eject Caitlin from writer's room for Infinite Horizon for story related reasons. There's just like 2 or 3 seconds of pause like in the call, and then Lucas and I simultaneously like Caitlin.
Oh gosh. Yep. So there's a lot of the Caitlin making me cry over things I haven't seen or consumed myself. Fair enough. Yeah, there's a lot of that going around. That's how I became friends with everyone here, says Olivia. It's true. It's very true.
Oh.
I have to say also one of my favorite ways to stay safe whenever I have to go out is brought to you by the one and only Kaitlin Bruder.
Protected by chat hugs.
If I hadn't already worn the chat hug
hugging.
T-shirt several times this week, I would have been wearing it tonight. But it needs to go through the wash, as do most of my other clothes. I haven't done laundry.
Chat hugs.
Chat hugs. I just have a lot of feelings. It's very true.
Can we get a few chat hugs in chat
Yeah,
for Caitlin?
yeah. Everybody who can, let's get some chat hugs.
I chat hugs back to you. Do I have access to my exclusive chat hugs? I have no idea. They're for like bits. Oh yeah, I fucking do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
It won't let me do any more than those because I haven't had enough people. Like I have like, there's like you've only received this many bits. We're not gonna let you assign
Oh.
emotes to bits that you haven't received. I'm like, well, screw you.
Oh.
Fine.
Fine, I guess. Thanks,
hugs?
guys. Chat hugs.
Dean coming in to save you from all of the attention of your birthday, talking about Diamond Throne. Once again, big congratulations to Alpha Dean for being on the writing and design team for that, because that is dope. Go check out Diamond Throne if you haven't. It's super cool.
Yeah, I think I slam dunked the kicks, like backing the Kickstarter in like the last 4 hours of it, because I was like, oh, that ends now, huh?
Yeah. All right. I think we've taken plenty of time for our planned derailment of tonight's Ramblemancy, but feel free to keep saying nice things about Caitlin here in the Rule of Lore Discord and Caitlin's Discord, just, everywhere. Just keep doing it. Now for the real surprise, Caitlin opens her closet and we've hired a real kid with a bike.
It's just Bernadette and their bikes.
Damn it, that's what I should have done. I should have thought of that.
It's okay, there's not a closet in my room because this technically isn't a bedroom by law.
Oh, okay.
It's a living room.
Legally not a bedroom. Got it.
Legally not a bedroom.
Damn.
My bedroom is in the hallway. Or my closet is in the hallway.
It was for the bit. Yeah. Yeah. So Burn can just pop through the door. Same impact.
like with a
Any of
with
my
a-
4 doors or
Yeah.
4 windows in my room.
Surprise! It's
Burn
none
just-
of those.
Burn just repels down from the ceiling. Like
Oh gosh. All right. Well.
do we have a topic for tonight?
No.
That's what
We're
I thought.
at the end of the show here. I'll see you guys next week.
Yeah, it came from the loop. It's on Wednesday. Well,
Mhm.
oh yeah, right. Conan Exiles.
Yeah.
Apparently tomorrow.
Yeah. All right. Well, since we're here and we've put Kaitlin on the spot significantly, let's start with our topic. How about that?
What if I just said no and hung up? I got what I came for. No, I didn't know that was happening.
Oh,
Still turn up just a little bit. It'll be fine in like
Mhm.
10 minutes.
We just have to get you talking about children on bicycles, and it'll all be okay.
yeah. So, as I said before, tonight's topic is the kids on bikes trope / genre in tabletop
Sorry,
RPGs
Olivia.
and media.
Caitlin says happy birthday to me and hangs up. Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, nobody would fault you, so. All right. Well, Kaitlin, I know you have a lot of thoughts about this genre.
Most of it is just that, like, I don't know what it is about the trope / genre / vessel for a story, which is kids on bikes saving the world, but it's like my favorite story to read, write, play at. Like, it's so fun. In my mind, I think it feeds into like the childhood fantasy of like freedom and superpowers,
Mhm.
like kind of a thing. Because like, when you're a kid, like you watch like superhero stuff, like, and you can be a superhero, whatever, but then like you see kids who are your age who are like doing cool shit. Sometimes they also have superpowers. I don't know, it's just like a very particular, I think, childhood fantasy that has just always been fascinating to me as like a genre of like in media. It is fun. Sometimes it is very poorly done, and sometimes it is done very, very well. And it's a good time. And now I get to run a game where I'm facilitating this
Yeah.
type of story, which has been very, very fun.
It's been fun to watch, seriously. Like it's so much fun. I love it.
I'm glad.
All the characters are excellent.
I
And
love my cast. All my
all-
players are great.
yeah, the NPCs are just they're so good.
I'm glad. I've never really played a game, like run a game with NPCs before. So I was like not really sure how this is going to go because they gave me so many NPCs and I was like, ooh, let's meet all of them. Let's go.
Like high key, I just want to hang out in the record store with the record store lady.
Sylvia
like,
Martinez, my favorite person who doesn't exist. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean Sylvia Martinez may also be my favorite person that doesn't exist. Like she just seems like a good time to be around.
Yeah.
I think
will-
I just
I will
like
just
that,
real quick, this is an important thing to say out ahead of time because Gemini Lightning points it out, and I think it's important to remind people that we do in fact have a week-long spoiler ban on any and all Rule of Lore tabletop RPG content that is ongoing. So you are,
No episode 3 spoilers.
no episode 3 spoilers until like Wednesday. So ban lifts on Wednesday. But yeah.
yeah. Sorry, we said that simultaneously. Same brain cell. I just the moment in which like Ferris said something to the effect of like, is that a good business practice? And then Sylvia was like, no one stopped me yet, kid, just lives rent free in my head.
Do you want to give me some business ideas? Well, one day I started and they haven't stopped me yet. Sylvie was one of the few NPCs that I made. Alex just was like, I feel like there's a record store owner who is just an old lesbian that Ferris gets along with, and then I came up with Sylvie Martinez, and she's excellent. She's one of those characters. We've talked about this a lot, like with Bina. I just talk and things come out and we get places and I don't ever know where what I start saying is going to happen with Bina. Sylvia Martinez is exactly the same. I planned 0 of the encounter with Sylvia Martinez, and
Very good.
she turned into my favorite NPC.
I have to agree with Gemini Lightning. I will say the answering machine voice was so cool. And yes, I agree. I told Kaitlin, literally last night, my favorite NPC was the answering machine lady. Like, that was my favorite That was my
Mhm.
favorite NPC.
The poor lady at the loop who was had to record the
Yeah.
answering machine voice.
Yeah.
Just take one big, long, deep breath and do it all.
I picture that like heavy-lidded, like reading the script,
Yeah.
like just sort of at the recording, and it's like I half
Hello,
expected.
thank you for calling.
I half expected at the end for there to be like a beat and then say, "How was that? Was that good? Like,
Was that good?
Are we done here? Are we done here?"
My coffee's getting cold. Can I go?
No, like I think the perfect end to that would be like a moment of dead space, and then how was that? Was that good? And then the sound of like a lighter clicking open and like being
Yes.
hit.
Yeah.
Click.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like to think that she's like a very competent like a front desk lady. So they're just like, can you do this? Can you script something out and do it? And she goes, yeah, sure. And just does it in one take and then hangs up and was like, I'd like to get back to my lunch now. Like,
Oh my god. No, have we all seen Atlantis, the old like the old
Yes,
animated
absolutely.
movie?
That
She's
is
like the
100%.
secretary lady.
yeah.
100%.
Oh my God. It's been a million years since I've seen that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. Incan Story says, "Wait, new headcanon. Voice machine lady is Sylvie's girlfriend."
Yes! They're married.
They are married.
And shipped.
Yep. Nailed it. Yep.
I love that so much.
The duality of relationships with Ferris being Ferris's anchor to what's the point? That's my favorite reaction anyone's ever had to anything I've ever done in a game ever.
Oh my god. Incan Stories, thank you for coming here tonight and blessing us with this headcanon.
Yeah, amazing.
Thank you so much.
God, that was so. What is even the point?
I think I clipped
Alex
that moment.
Perkins.
It was so good.
What's
The point.
Everyone's faces during that was like so. Made me so happy.
Yeah.
It was like watching Remy slowly get more and more incredulous the whole time, like, it was so good.
I totally goaded Alex into making the phone call just so I could do that, but they needed to know something weird was happening.
I love that.
Also, it was fun. It was a good time.
Okay, so
This has nothing to do with Kids on Bikes.
it kind of does though. But so I actually do have a question to start us off with. I like, because here we are half an hour into the show. Let's start the topic.
Whose fault is that, Lucas?
Well, I'm pretty sure it was yours for starting to talk about it came from the
For being
loop.
born, is that what we're saying
no,
here?
it's no, for talking about it came from the loop, because
Oh,
the other
yeah,
the other
clearly.
part that delayed us was like that was planned and it was part of the show, so like that one's yeah. Anyway, no, but I actually do have a legit, real question, everybody. So pay attention to me. No. Okay. So what is everybody's favorite kids on bike style kind of like media? Whether it's a movie, a show, a book, podcast, what have you.
Particulars or just like which method of which to consume?
Either one. If you can think, if you have a favorite specifically, go for it. And if not, I mean, I will accept the specifics. I see Rainey likes E.T. Alpha Dean says The Goonies. Yes,
Very
That's
good.
what I-
fucking love The Goonies.
Dean read my mind.
Mhm.
I was
I
just
think
about to
I need
say
to watch that movie again. The last time I saw it was actually
Yeah.
probably around this time, my freshman year of college. So it's been a while. I need to watch that one.
Is it time for Goonies movie night? Because I don't think I've watched it since high school.
Yeah, I think it has to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
hmm
I've never seen the Goonies.
Oh, Rainey.
Oh man.
It's been a long time since I've watched it. I think I've only seen it like once.
You, right here,
It's the
Rainey.
Sandlot.
You boomed me. No, I'm just
Sandlot. Yeah.
He says I watched the Sandlot.
almost.
Actually, yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Huh.
Caitlin, we actually I think watched this the last time that I visited, but Super 8 I
Super
think
8.
is one of my favorite
pretty good.
favorite kids on bikes movies. And it is like I think really iconic kids on bikes too.
Yeah.
Huh.
Oh, gosh, I'm trying to think of ones that haven't been said. I mean, like, I think I really do like Stranger Things, but
I
like
really do.
yeah. Um
No, Dark's not really.
it kind
Yeah,
of is
It kind
a
of
little bit.
is.
Yeah.
counts. Yeah.
It's
Dark.
I would
Does. It
say
totally does. I'd say with the way it jumps around time, it's totally
It leans
absolutely.
like it leans a lot onto like the more like horror mystery side of Kids on Bikes than I
Yeah.
think other forms of that media do. But
Oh, it's so
Yeah.
good though. I
um,
think that's a
mhm.
it definitely has a very different tone than than is typical for that genre, but yeah, it's like a much
I think it
darker, more
definitely counts.
serious tone, but totally,
Actually,
yeah.
Even
You
though they
know-
jump from like different perspective, which is like
Mm-hmm.
Stranger Things kind of does too, but this
Yeah,
is more
true.
like they still focus a lot on like kids out doing shit. Like kids,
Mhm.
a lot of kids are leading this story, so
Yeah,
like I
it's
think it
true.
definitely counts.
Yeah, like the kids in Dark drive the action in the same way that like the kids in Stranger Things drive it, but you still like have the story, like the adults who drive some of it, like Hopper and Winona Ryder, whose name
Joyce,
Joyce. Thank you, God. I can't believe I forgot Joyce's name.
love you, Joyce Byers.
She's so good. She's
Yeah.
so oh
Joyce Byers'
this is-
best mom. She's
this
just
is-
honestly the best mom in the show.
Mhm.
Good
Um,
mom.
This is a total aside, but when I was student teaching, my student teacher, like my cooperating teacher, was a dead ringer for Joyce Byers, and so
Oh
when
my God.
Halloween rolled around, I was student teaching in the fall, so I went as Jonathan Byers because I'm Jonathan Boyle,
Excellent.
and like I have brown hair, so I let it get kind of long, and then like she brought in she brought in like one of the kind of baggy coats that he's got, and then she dressed up as Joyce Byers, so we
That's
taught class all
amazing.
day that way.
Good,
is
good.
That's
amazing.
awesome.
I mean,
Um,
on the topic of parents, like one of like in the Tales from the Loop game specifically, like one of the core conceits, I tweeted about this the other day. One of the core conceits is adults are out of reach and out of touch, and I feel like with a lot of Kids on Bikes content, you get like parents who like aren't important to the plot or are absent or are dismissive in like different ways. And like I do love that Joyce Byers is a very like like good best mom. Like
hangs out with
Mhm.
Will as he like describes his D&D games to her, and like
Mhm.
Yeah, like it's such it like the plot still happens, like the kids still drive the plot, but they like but Will still has like a very supportive present parent as opposed to like, and God, it's just such a crazy juxtaposition across like the Wheeler against like the Wheeler's parents who are so far removed
just-
from their lived experiences.
Yeah.
Like
um Gemini Lightning says it's fantasy high Kids on Bikes. If you're Fabian, yes. Yes.
Oh God. Fabian Seacaster.
Fabian
I think Buffy
Arameus
does.
Seacaster. Yeah. I think so, yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
for what Olivia said. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Buffy does count.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
I've
Phineas
not
and-
seen it, but I while I
Phineas
was
and
reading articles
Ferb.
about shows that are considered that was listed as part of the early days when they're like teens. I think teens counts as
Yeah.
like
Oh
Kids
yeah,
on
no,
Bikes.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I also feel like Phineas and Ferb totally counts. Yeah, I had to think about that one for a second, but it totally counts. That's absolutely, yeah.
This is maybe a weird parallel to draw, and it's not like perfect, but like for some reason my mind keeps like flipping over to the Percy Jackson series too, which isn't a perfect analogy, I think, or like a perfect fit in the Kids on Bikes genre, but it does have some of the same energy with a bunch of like
Kids saving the
12-year-olds.
world.
Yeah.
Like yeah, it's a little bit like it's like a step or two removed because it's no longer like in the neighborhood, like it's
Mhm.
you and your family like in your hometown stuff. It's like you and your extended god family at a god camp saving the entire like on a global scale like but it's still it's there, it's like a step removed. But yeah, I think it's very similar. A lot of like kids media is that like there's
Mhm.
there's the I think there's like a very fine line between like pockets of like differences in the genre where like it goes from because like all kids things just kids saving the world, it's gonna kind of fall at least adjacently to this. It's just kind of which particular facet you're looking into, and there's a lot of that can fit into many of them.
It's funny because Dean actually kind of agrees that, and it's interesting. It says when shows and movies deal with the kids being ignored by the adults, just look at Sky High, which is really funny because we were talking about that like
I
right before we
literally
went
just
live.
talked about Sky
Yeah.
High.
Right before we went live, we were talking about Sky High. So yeah,
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think I will agree and say I think Hocus Pocus totally counts. Absolutely.
Yes.
Mhm.
So like the thing that makes
Halloween Town. Sorry, I just got really excited.
Yes.
No, it's all good.
Mhm.
Yes, 100% Halloween Town.
to bring up one of my favorite words about creating stuff, but like intersectionality, like the intersection of things that makes kids on bikes, then like kind of what I'm hearing is the intersection of like things that happen in or around like a home like place combined with like kids saving the world. Like it's like a
That's
very
my particular favorite like cross section of it, but like there are a lot of different versions.
Dean has brought up Monster Squad a couple of times. Says, do you guys know about Monster Squad? Okay,
I don't think so.
if I do, it's not by name. So help us out, Dean. Help us out
I know
here.
there was a Kickstarter recently for a game called Monster Care Squad, which I'm also very interested in, but it's
Yeah.
not really kids on bikes. It's you must watch this.
Okay, all right.
I'm gonna write it down right
I have
now.
I still have the list from the other day when I have John Carpenter's The Thing, because it's been so long since I've seen that movie that I just need to write these down. But yeah, no, absolutely. Like,
Stand By Me is it's less supernatural, but that's like similar kids on bikes,
yeah.
but not quite the saving the world aspect of it.
Mm-hmm. Jumanji, yes.
I think so.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
hmm
That's a good one.
Magic Treehouse, that's more of a book.
Yeah.
It's like it's a books. It's like
I'm
that was
not
an educational book series, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I would put that in the same genre. Like, it has a lot of the same elements, but I'm not sure I would put it quite in the same genre.
I just have a list of shit that I wrote down
Yeah.
to be like, what do we think? Yeah, like
Yeah.
It's got a lot of the trappings, I think, in the same way that like Percy Jackson has a lot of the trappings of
but
kids
it's
on
that
bikes.
same vein of like more mad, like a step removed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Okay.
it kind of falls into that category.
Dean says basically the kids revive all the classic monsters from Universal. They have Frankenstein's monster and the werewolf on their side versus Dracula and the mummy. Okay,
Yes.
I know what you're talking about now. Yes.
Yeah,
Like,
me too.
yeah, yeah.
I am ashamed that I did not get that right away.
Wait, have you seen it?
Olivia, I
Freeman?
have
Have you seen it, Freeman?
I think so.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
and
yeah.
if not, I've heard of it for sure because that's my jam.
Yeah,
I
I know
think
you're
I've
like
seen it
big
at
into the
all.
Universal monsters.
Olivia, I literally have Boxcar Children written down.
I grew up on Boxcar Children, like, and Benny was hungry is a sentence that just lives in my subconscious.
Yeah.
Or I'm hungry, said Benny.
Oh gosh. Let's see.
I think Maximum Ride is another thing where it's just kids saving the world, but like it's still that step removed, I think,
Yeah.
from the neighborhood kids because they do kind of go global.
See, I'm not sure, Gemini, that Ender's Game counts. I'm not,
you not know
sure
it?
it does.
I can't weigh in.
Ender's Game to me feels like very much like just kind of YA science fiction, and especially like as you get
I wouldn't
farther.
call it YA.
Bridge?
Yeah, that's fair.
I definitely wouldn't call it YA. It's for sure adult.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But especially as you get farther into the series, I think it departs more and more from the like kids on bikes kind of feel that you might even get from the very first one. I don't know.
Yeah. Numa, I also have Animorphs written down.
The
Y'all are doing great here.
The rest of this episode is just going to be trying to guess what Kaitlin has written down on her list
Yeah.
before she says it.
I love this. This is great.
I remember seeing all of those Animorphs, like all of the Animorphs books running around when I was a kid, but for some reason they were one of those series that I never picked up as a middle schooler, and like I very much regret that. They had such cool like holographic covers with like the kids like
Yeah.
shape-shifting
So,
and stuff. And...
I actually have another question, because this is, now that we're going through a lot of these things and like sort of defining which ones are and aren't part of the genre now, and I'm wondering, so here's my question, and I think I have an answer, but I'm curious to know what everybody, including chat, what you have to say, which is, can this concept of like kids on bikes saving the world thing, can that general concept exist in a different genre, or does it just make it a different genre then? Like, does the parts of that other genre just take over at that point? Like,
I don't think kids on bikes is a genre. I think it's
Sure.
a trope and a vessel for storytelling. So I think it exists across genres. I think there's just like, we kind of focus on a very particular like slice of it, but I think it will exist, and it just kind of depends on what the limits of that are. Because like I said, I told you before, and I have no idea if this is like a thing that I'm just obsessed with, or if this is a quantifiable actual thing that people genuinely talk about.
I'm sorry. I do want to get back to this because it's interesting, I think. But I also want to point out one of the most hilarious exchanges that I think has ever taken place in our chat. Just Karaoke Night 69 says, I had a crush on Tobias, and Jolly Old Up Nixon says, that the bird guy, because that explains some things. And that's really funny to me because they're a couple, and it's funny to me. Anyway, it's funnier if you know either of them. But anyway, anyway,
That exchange in chat was abominably cute.
it was great.
Oh
Aw.
She took senior pictures with the chicken.
Excellent. I love that. Hey.
You've been outed on stream.
Yeah. Anyway, how dare you? Anyway, back to this question of like, but I think the question still stands given that definition, which I think I totally agree with. It's that it's more of like a trope than a genre. But I wonder if you bring that trope into a different genre other than just sort of like, you know, like modern or like 80s or any other like period kind of thing, right? I wonder, does the trappings of the other genre take over as sort of the main genre, right? Like, can you preserve it by going over to it? I don't know. I'm not really sure.
I like this where Remy says, I think Kids on Bikes tries to tap into nostalgia and the over-imagination of childhood, which could be applied to a lot of other realms, but some settings are better than others. I agree with.
Yeah.
I was absolutely just about to say, it depends on the game, I think. For instance, you could probably mix this with Star Trek Adventures and have a kind of a like below decks type
Actually, hell
thing.
yeah, that would be amazing.
You're a bunch of you're civilians on a big ship.
Exactly. Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun.
Naomi Wildman and the Board Kids. Is that if they've
Starfleet
had a few
Cadets
centric
says
episodes.
Geek Outs? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I love it.
Cadets on bikes.
Cadets.
No, I'm saying like civilians.
Yeah,
like you
yeah.
were the children.
that-
You were like you're
yeah.
Naomi Wildman and the Board
Yeah.
Kids on Voyager.
That's cool.
That's
Yeah.
really cool. Now
Kids on decks.
Kids on decks. Now I really want to do that. Oh god,
I think that's
I
like
love that.
And we kind of did not really kids on bikes, John. The other word I want to look for that just left me. Sorry, kids on bikes in D&D. We kind of did that with D&DR almost.
Oh yeah, a
in
little bit.
sense.
Students,
So
yeah.
it could work in D&D, but specifically in that kind of molding of that, it couldn't exactly have that in a traditional D&D sense because like there's just so much combat and you don't
Right.
want too much combat. I think. I
Yeah.
don't know. That's just me.
D&D would be a hard one to get that with, especially because I feel like so much of that the kids on bikes type trope, it revolves around like avoiding the dangerous situations and barely making it out of danger and like not so
Problem
much
solving,
direct
mystery
combat.
solving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dean says, you missed my statement. We actually ran a sci-fi adventure in the Star Wars universe where everyone was a teen in the rebellion and they stumbled upon plans to a new type of Star. That's amazing.
Cool.
I feel like I
that's
vaguely
so
remember
cool.
Anthony telling me about this. I vaguely remember
perfect.
this. Yeah, that sounds awesome. Oh, gosh.
Yeah. And I think like one of the things that Remy mentioned too, like the nostalgia is a big reason that the 80s is, I think, it comprises a lot of the kids on bikes media is because there's a lot of people who have like kind of a powerful nostalgia for that aesthetic. Even people like myself who were born after it, there is like kind of, it's just, there's a lot of things that came out of that that were still kind of present in the like 90s and early 2000s when I was a kid, that invoke a lot of nostalgia. And so I think like one of the trappings of kids on bikes is like nostalgia for a different time, right?
I think that's like the core, like that's like the home base of it. And like anything from there, like you take too many steps away, it's no longer like would be classic kids on bikes,
It
but
kinda
like
becomes
you
something
can
else.
shift like to different like areas and still be kids on bikes, even if it doesn't fit like the cookie cutter version of it. I think it's just a fun, versatile like trope / vessel, and that you can kind of like get crafty with. It's fun. It's interesting to kind of speculate on this stuff.
The thought that I was having earlier today is that it's almost reminiscent of fairy tale like story structures and types, because I've been reading a bunch of like We Are All Mad Here and about like how to tell fairy tale stories and games and stuff.
Hmm.
And it's got a lot of like that kind of wonder to it, and like there are very like whimsical fairy tale stories, which I imagine like almost kind of being on like the Super 8 end of things, but there's also some like very dark, extremely messed up fairy tales out there that like is on the end of like that like dark is kind
Like
of
I was saying,
that
Goonies to dark. Is that what?
like Goonies to dark is our scale here.
Dean points out that actually Wheel of Time is basically like kids on bikes but in fantasy, and I've actually never read the books myself, but
Huh.
from the things that like my friend who's really into them has told me, I could see that. I could absolutely see that.
I have those books sitting on my bookshelf like right at the head of my bed, but I haven't read them yet.
Well, you know you've got a good bookshelf.
It's true.
Sure.
Very sturdy.
Yeah. If it can hold those things
Yeah.
up. Yeah, that like this is also it's got all my D&D books and shit on it. And I know that's a good bookshelf.
Yeah.
Because like I actually
point.
hurt my
Good
back
point.
last year picking up my stack of D&D books off my
Yeah.
desk.
Yeah. Olivia says, "What would everyone's bikes look like?" You mean of ours?
Mm.
The bike I grew up with was way too big for me, and it was green, and it was called Crosstown.
Nice.
That's all I remember. It was way too big for me. I was a very small kid, very small teen, and they're like, "You'll grow into it," and then I like never did.
That's very on brand. I love that. I think
Perfect.
my first bike was like, it was a mongoose. It was one of those like faux BMX type bikes that has like pegs and stuff on it. It turned out to be really annoying because it was intended for that. It has no gears.
Yeah.
So, but it was red and silver and black. And so I feel like that's what my childhood bike looked like. So
I had actually, Lucas, you know what my bike looks like. The bike that I had in college, I had since I was about 15 years old, actually. And that was a case of you'll grow into it, except I did actually grow into mine.
John outgrew the bike. John outgrew bikes in general, actually. Like they have to make bikes to fit John's elongated frame.
Yeah, I have the reason that I never stand up on stream is I just like rise straight out of
You'd
frame
only
off
see
to
your knees,
infinity.
like
Yeah,
it.
like John. Little known fact: John has actually already lost the deposit on their apartment because of the number of times he stood up and put holes in the ceiling.
It's true, actually. Like the reason that it's darker in here is I stood up the other day and just knocked the light in the middle of the room straight off the ceiling. So
This is a good bit.
John's tall. That's the joke. John's tall.
My
Very much
bike
so.
was
Oh, wait.
first bike was I'm just gonna be blurry for this
Fair
segment,
enough.
such as
It
my
adds to
vision
your
was
mystique.
after crashing several times on my bike, because my bike was okay. This is just seriously bugging me.
It adds to the
Was,
mystique. There you go.
My
Sorry,
first
Chad is memeing
bike-
about me. I can't take it.
my first bike was an off-brand bike. I think my parents figured I would probably wreck it a lot, and so not to get a really expensive one. Of course, they were correct. I did wreck it a lot, and it was the bike I learned how to completely wreck on.
The number
My-
of times in high school I remember you telling me about like a specific trail that you had taken your bike on at various times, and I was just like, how?
I know. And
First
those,
of all,
you know,
how? Secondly, how are you alive? And yeah.
well, you see, I made a deal.
Checks out.
With a Fae being like,
Listen, no. It's against the Twitch terms of service to discuss our our
Fae
patrons
origin.
with greater.
Oh, I wasn't
Our
going to say more
patronage.
than that.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be able to anyway.
Yeah.
My lips would just zip
Yeah.
right up.
it's against the Twitch terms of service to discuss any powerful immortal beings you may or may not have formed contracts with.
All I will say is I'm fairly certain that due to that, they have now all those no bike here signs.
It's always great when your antics create policy. That's always fun.
Yeah. It's like, And now,
Speak-
yes.
Speaking of which, my group of friends got these things, these Nerf swords, like this one, banned in the dorms at college because of some antics that we planned in finals week my
Yeah.
freshman year.
Oh my God, Karaoke Night 69 says Free Mothman. Because Amethyst said, we already know Freeman is a cryptid. Free
Right,
Mothman.
right. I wonder. I haven't been able to find that YouTube video in a while. I have to find it again.
That's right. I always
Yeah.
forget about that.
I think that's where
Little known
yeah.
fact, everyone. For those of you who were not here during our cryptids video, like Ramblemancy, many months ago, Freeman has been identified as a cryptid. I will try to see if I can find the video and post it again because it's the most hilarious thing. It makes me laugh so much.
I know it's filmed or made by the guy who does a lot of spooky cryptid type stuff, creepy something on YouTube. I forget.
Mm-hmm. It's like basically the long and the short of it is that it was one of those. It's a video that's essentially one of those like list of the most haunted places on Earth, and one of them it's like unexplained pictures or whatever, and it's very clearly Freeman. Like if you know Freeman, you know it's Freeman. It's very funny to
I
me.
love that story.
It took me a couple of looks. I was like, wait, hold on, that's me, Mom. Look at this.
Mom, I'm a cryptid.
Look at that.
Oh my God.
It's very funny. Anyway, it's extremely funny also knowing that it's Freeman with all the narrator going into his like dramatic spiel of like, is this the spirit of a disgruntled soldier who committed suicide in the bunkers, or is it some other strange spirit? It's so funny.
It's some other
just
strange
Freeman.
spirit.
It's just Freeman. It makes me laugh every time.
Freeman, the strange spirit.
Yeah. Indeed.
Yeah. So, kids on bikes.
Kids on bikes.
It's yeah.
That was
I
quite a
didn't get
tangent.
I didn't get to do much kids on biking when I was a kid because I lived on a farm in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
So I biked into town a couple of times, but my mom hated it because we lived on a freeway.
Oh yeah.
I love biking though. I was a kid who loved biking even if I couldn't like do it.
No,
Didn't save the world, but I did bike sometimes.
Man, I can't tell you how many like this is bringing like that particular comment is bringing back so many memories of like biking to the nature center trailhead from my house in my hometown, and like just the wild fantasies that would run through my head while I was biking along out there, or like through town, just like living out my kids on bikes dream, trying not to get hit by cars.
When I was much more into writing short stories, like in like middle school and high school, like we used to go biking a lot. Like my family, we would go on like biking trips and bike like 15 miles just for fun and then back to the campground or whatever. And like I just remember like you bike for a while, like you can't, it's hard to talk to people. So it's just like a lot of like internal contemplation. And I used to like write little stories while I was on my bike and then like write them down when we got back to the campground.
Yeah. Oh my God. Karaoke Night 69 says, for most of the time I had a bike on campus, it didn't have brakes.
Oh,
Well, that's not great.
that can be a time.
That
Sounds
can
like a
be
college
time.
bike story.
Yeah. Jade Bender says, my brother and I would ride our bikes all over town, but where we grew up was pretty small. You could get from one end of the town to the other in just about 10 to 15 minutes. Yeah, actually, I think that's kind of like the town we live in now. Is about like that, right, Freeman?
Well, about.
I mean, there's
Just
also
about.
hills everywhere. Like, there's no
Yeah.
part of this town that's not on a hill,
Yeah.
or at the
I
bottom
think-
of one. So
I
there's
think
that, but,
I think 12 minutes when I was, but that was when I was in peak bicycle shape.
but
There's
but
no way to do it now.
But I feel you on that, Jade Bender, because like what the town that I grew up in, where I was like predominantly a kid on a bike, was a tiny town of like 500 people. It was little. There wasn't a lot of places to go. So like the bikes were the destination. we just the being on the bike. We weren't getting on the bikes to go anywhere. We were on the bikes because they were bikes, and there wasn't anywhere to go. So, but yeah. what was left of the brakes just absolutely screamed. I'm surprised none of you remember this. I super don't remember that.
I think
I don't even recall ever seeing you on a bike. So like,
I think I remember that actually. Like this is stirring something deep in the recesses of my repressed college memories.
Hmm.
I think I remember one. I think I remember a time that like I think Celia and I were both walking our bikes, but yeah, it was somewhere.
mm-hmm.
God, I'm pretty sure my oh go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say I'm pretty sure my bike got up to more interesting things than I did while I was in college.
Yours ended up in
Than
a tree a couple times, right?
yeah, I think there was the time freshman year where somebody put it in the tree outside the calf, and then there was I think two, maybe three times that it was thrown down the hill on campus. Um, and I just lost track of it for a while. Yeah, right. It was thrown down and brought back up twice the next morning, and then one of those three times it was just stuck halfway down the hill, like in a tree. Uh, and I had to go get utilities to get my bike back. I don't know why people thought that my bike was a good fit for trees, but
College campuses are a lawless place for bikes. That is just. I have people who've gotten their tires stolen, who've had entire bikes vandalized, busted, stolen, like in a tree. That's a new one. I haven't heard that before. But yeah, but college campuses are a lawless place for bicycles.
Odds and ends, welcome to the show. We're just hanging out talking about kids on bikes. Not the game per se, but like just the trope of kids on bikes saving the world.
I have a question / prompt actually that I
Alright.
thought of. So if you are a kid on a bike in a kids on bikes vessels type show, what is your mystery? Is it aliens? Is it magic, or like the telekinetic type supernatural stuff? Like, or is it like government facility? Like what's your kids on bikes antagonist?
The answer to that question, regardless of genre for me, cosmic horror.
Yes. Good. I love it.
I think for me it's got to be like weird fey creatures. Like that's like like it's got a little bit, I feel like a little bit cosmic horror vibes, but more just like strange fey being that wants something like
Like
lurking
extra
out in the
planar.
Yeah. Something like that. Like I always there was the kind of thing that I always played out when I was out biking at the nature center in my hometown, just like imagining the strange powers that might like dwell in the woods. So I think that's mine.
Those are both really good. And when I mean that, I mean I would also pick those two. Exactly.
I'm probably sitting in like solidly either paranormal or like extra dimensional. I think would be my two spots.
Yeah, I do also like the like paranormal stuff too. Like okay, this is not something I talk about very often, but second to cosmic horror, my favorite kind of horror is like occult horror.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
that's my second favorite genre of horror. So like I think that's also very fun, especially if you combined with kids on bikes.
Yeah, a pretty common one I think is like extraterrestrial, like ET. There's obviously Super 8. I think is like
Yeah, Super 8.
aliens.
Super 8 is an alien.
Earth to Echo is aliens, which if any of you saw this stream of Aggies that I guested on, I talked about Earth to Echo for a significant amount of time.
What's that one? What's that one? The Netflix
the really
movie
bad one.
Yeah, the really bad one. What's the
Yeah,
name
I
of it?
never say something end of the world, end of the Earth, world's end. One of those.
Yeah.
The really bad one where the TikToker, the Viners were in it, and I couldn't tell if it was a satire movie or not.
Wait, no, that's a different one.
I'm thinking. One. Okay, well the one I'm thinking.
Because I remember I was talking about the one that I'm thinking about, and you brought that one up. But
oh shit. Okay.
oh god, I don't remember the name of it. I watched it recently, but
yes,
okay.
Earth to Echo is very. I fucking love Earth to Echo. If you have a computer nearby, or if you have the chance to like look up the alien from Earth to Echo, the little robot, it is so cute, and it mimics text tones to tell the kids things. It's so cute, and its little eyes are busted, so it connects to their phone camera, so it can look at them.
Oh my
Dean, or anybody else who might be able to figure it out. It's the one where like a bunch of kids are at like a summer camp and like aliens come and like start attacking while they are there, and then they have to like get like a key to like a specific
Yeah, we're talking about the
location.
same thing.
Is it?
Yeah.
I don't remember anything about. You mentioned TikTok.
There are a couple Viners in it.
I don't remember that.
It's all right. They weren't like
Huh.
big name with. I just
Okay.
recognized them and I was like, whoa, wait, what?
I don't remember that. I also super wasn't paying attention during most of that movie because it was definitely one I put on just to like have in the background. So
It's like it's something about World's End and
Yeah.
the like Earth's and whatever.
Something
It's a
like that.
camp. It's the name of the camp,
right, something like
and it's just every kid is an extreme stereotype to the point where I thought that it was supposed to be a parody or a satire, but I wasn't
it
sure by the
wasn't.
end.
Rim of the World. Thank you.
Rim of the
Jenna
World.
Lanning.
That's what it is.
Yes,
Yeah.
Rim of the World. That's the one. It's not a bad movie. It's just fine.
Not a good one.
It's just very fine. That's it.
I feel like it like had potential. I feel like the kids were like really good actors. Like I feel like I want to see that cast of kids in an actually well written film.
Yeah. Yeah.
'Cause it like had it like I feel like it had potential, but I was confused in the end.
Yeah. No, like there was definitely a lot of good stuff about it, but it just like all together it didn't quite.
My big thing, I couldn't tell if it was a joke. Like there was so
Yeah.
much shit where I was like, is this supposed to be like adult humor? Is this what's
Right,
the
like,
audience?
who's this for?
Who is
Yeah.
this for? Is
Yeah.
this for kids? Is this an adult movie? I can't fucking tell.
Yeah, no, like it was definitely like Dean points out, it definitely was like a comedy, but like I can't figure out if it was supposed to be like were we supposed to find it funny in the ways that we found it funny, or were we supposed
Like I wasn't
I
sure
don't
if
know.
it was like a commentary on this type of movie, like if it was like kids on bikes saving the world and here's a satire about it, but like I couldn't I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, also, yes, okay, Odds and Ends brings up Lock and Key. There's a Netflix series and it's like soft horror but with cool magic keys. Yeah. I definitely saw it. I know it's based on like a comic graphic novel, something like that. And I enjoyed the show. I think did they cancel it? I can't remember. I feel like they did. I feel like I heard that somewhere, but I don't know that for sure. So
I
don't
heard
quote-
mixed reviews on it.
It was
That's the only thing I know about
no,
it.
like it was an interesting concept. That I will say for sure. But that's also a very, very good example of this whole like this genre, I think. Season 2 is supposed to be coming. Okay, cool. Yeah.
They don't usually cancel things before the end of the second season.
That's not true.
It's the curse of the second season though.
That's-
Things don't always get
yeah.
a third season is kind of
Yeah.
what he's referencing.
Yeah. But I remember the first issue of Lock and Key and generally enjoyed it, but never went back to it. Yeah. Karaoke Night brings up Firefly.
Too soon.
It is not, in fact, too soon. Okay, listen. I love We're gonna take a quick detour for a second. I know
Okay.
I will get flack for this. It is, but it is time. As somebody who loves Firefly, it is time to let it go. It is
Let
time
it die.
it's time to let it go. It's never coming back, and if it does, it will not be reflective of what we loved about it. Even if it is, most people won't see it that way. So it's time to let it go. Let it live as it was in your memories, and watch it and rewatch it to your heart's content.
Like a leaf on the wind.
But let it go.
Would you say, Lucas, that we have to let the past die to kill it if we?
Is
I'm
it
done.
my turn to threaten to leave? Because if I leave, the whole call ends. So
This would be the second time in recent times that John has completely derailed the the end of the episode of Ramblemancy.
Oh, how could I have gotten this far into the episode without being entirely predictable? Very great example of
wondering.
kids on bikes. Chapter 1,
I was
the
wondering when
movie,
that was-
and all of the kids, all of the first cycle of the books and like the miniseries and stuff. The first movie is very good. The 2016 film, whatever.
7?
Very good, very beautiful, very well made. Cast is great, but like prime example of kids on bikes saving their hometown,
Yeah, absolutely.
themselves, each other.
Yeah.
Love the 1990s miniseries. It's so corny. It's my
Oh
favorite.
man, there were so many from.
So good.
There were so many. If I like classic ones that like aren't like the popular classics, right? But that
Yeah,
like
yeah.
there's so many that now I'm like they're just right on the edge of my brain, like just there, but I cannot recall them. There's so many that were like mini series and
Yeah.
like little things like that. I
Mhm.
watched so many of those when I was a kid. They're just all kind of in my brain somewhere. The miniseries is corny, but as a kid, it scared me. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's fair. I don't think I watched that one as a kid. I think that I didn't watch that one until I was like, I think I was fully in high school by the time I watched the whole thing.
I watched that one for the first time as an adult, and it still scared me. So I'm a baby. I'm bad at horror.
Yeah.
I think the only reason that didn't scare me, Caitlin, is because I watched it for the first time with you in broad daylight with
On
a bowl,
call.
yeah, on call with you with a bowl full of mochi in front of me, so it was impossible for me to be frightened of anything. It was extremely unnerving at times though. Like the 90s miniseries like just is deranged at times.
Yeah.
This is Dakota. I have found a breakdown of the Kids on Bike sci-fi nostalgia.
Ooh.
Ooh.
So it's several elements that are it talks about here. It talks about Stranger Things, Paper Girls, Super 8. I mentioned another one somewhere. E.T. But it says so the bikes are hugely important. Your kids' freedom, basically. The time, 70s, 80s, is kind of where the science fiction of that time period, particularly. The place, Midwestern suburbia, the hometown, essentially, full of culverts, storm drains, empty lots, deep woods. Well-maintained foot-level colonials lie just blocks away. The adults, parents tend to struggle to get by. Single-parent homes are normal. Basically, what we kind of talked about, parents out of reach, out of touch, as in Tales from the Loop. Basically kind of isolates or defines the characters by their home life. And then authority figures, so sinister, faceless, possessed of advanced technology, and most importantly, not to be trusted. So like the representation of adulthood and you cannot be trusted. And this mentioned, yes, Super 8 and Stranger Things. The monsters, inevitably, unfailingly, the least interesting or engaging thing about the Kids on Bike subgenre. Because it might be because it's sometimes or often very metaphorical. It represents fear of growing up very often. And thus can never be satisfyingly defeated by our heroes, only grudgingly accepted. Whoa! Wow, that's a take.
Oh,
Wait, I'm sorry. You're gonna have to read that one again to me because I need to take that in fully.
Okay. Inevitably, unfailingly, the least interesting or engaging thing about the Kids on Bike subgenre, the monsters. Maybe this is because on any circle's metaphorical level, it always represents the same thing, the fear of growing up, and thus can never be satisfyingly defeated by our heroes, only grudgingly accepted.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Very much the Tales from the Loop Amazon show is very melancholic, but the whole point of it is like the things we can't get back.
Right.
Like it's so heartbreaking. Like there are some issues with the show, but for the most part, it's very pretty. Some of the stories are very cool. It's not my kind of story, but it's the things you can't get back. Growing up and losing your childhood, and that's very much like a lot of things, especially things where it's kids as you get them as kids, and then you get them as adults again. So like very like obviously like the It series, like the whole point of it is lost childhood, like the things you lose in the childhood you can't get back. Like that's a pretty common thing. Or like stories where like someone's moving away at the end, like Earth to Echo, it has they're losing their childhood home basically, and all the kids are moving away from each other. Like losing your childhood is very much like a big commonality in Kids on Bikes stories.
Whew. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
I don't know. It's interesting because like when you think about how often, at least like when the stuff that I've read about creating and creativity and stuff like that, a lot of times like frames things in terms of seeing the world around you through the eyes of a child, like through the eyes of seeing it for the first time, that kind of wonder, right? And so I don't know, that's a cool take on that, given how much like elsewhere I see people refer to like trying to recapture that sense of like of of childhood or like
Yeah.
of childlike wonder.
Dean says wonderment in the comments. What topic were we talking about recently on Ramblemancy where this came up? The concept of like the childlike wonder as a like filter for a game to like, what were we talking about? Was it was it
Hmm.
the was it the school as a setting episode? I mean, I know we talked about it there, but yeah,
It was something else.
I feel like there was
I
something
just
else.
can't remember.
Where we were talking about childlike wonder as like a
Yeah.
Yeah,
I can't remember now.
I think it was the school episode, like because essentially, yeah, I think that part of the conversation was basically about like viewing the world through the eyes of a very specific structure that you experience mostly when you're a kid,
Mm-hmm.
more or less. Like that's an approximation of what we were talking about.
Yeah.
But
Oh, this is only tangentially, but to pin it back into like games again, a friend of mine wrote, and I don't know if she ever ended up running a game where you and all of your childhood friends are adults. And as you're like going back through your hometown, they would play as your kid self again, play flashbacks. And I think that that's like a very interesting like, and so like the ways the flashbacks you would have would then influence the interactions you were having again as
Oh,
your adult selves.
interesting.
Like
That's
really
cool.
cool. I'm pretty sure it was also inspired by Stephen King's It. I don't remember where she started, but like
Yeah.
what like a cool way, like that feels like a very like
Yeah.
I feel like there are a lot of indie systems that like have a very similar feel, but like the type of just like you're playing through your backstory and the modern time at the same time and like letting these scenes influence how you're playing now. Like that's just it's really cool. Like
Yeah.
not a flashback from a few years ago, but like a flashback from childhood. Like that's
Yeah.
really cool. I would love to
frame
see
nar-
that.
frame narratives within games are so wild to me because I love them in stories, but like
Mhm.
it's interesting to be able to like play it out in at the table.
I want to point out what Maka Dragon Tamer said, which was absolutely random thought, but the Sisterhood of the Traveling
Mhm.
Pants is almost a post Kids on Bike story where the girls aren't about to lose their childhood but have lost it and are trying to deal with that.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
Definitely.
Oh, that's super cool. That's really interesting. And I'm trying to think of what that concept reminds me of. There's like some piece of media that I'm thinking of that
I feel like that's something that's explored often.
uh Philip Pullman's Dark Materials trilogy, where
Yeah.
like there's the metaphorical like of that, like, oh, childhood is over now, we have moved into adulthood, where like their demons stop shifting and they
Mhm.
settle on a form, and it like represents adulthood. And but not necessarily always, as we learn in those books, not necessarily just as like in the age sense, but also even in like the more like metaphorical sense in a lot of cases. It's really, yeah, that's what that reminds me of, where it's like trans transitioning from that place of like the childlike wonder where things are wondrous but also sometimes scary, to then
Mm-hmm.
transitioning to a more mundane world that is no less scary but for different reasons.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's really interesting.
The like childhood trauma is a very big like the imagination of the child exacerbating it into something else, but it's a metaphor for like the fears and the trauma and the experience of growing up and then overcoming it. Like that's something that is kind of there's like a seed of that in a lot of especially like the like non-mundane stories where it's like the I mean even the more mundane like Stand By Me, I'm pretty sure like that has like is like layered with the metaphors for growing up and stuff, but like if like there's a monster in something, like usually it's a metaphor for the fears, and then when you're an adult, like that's not the fear anymore, but that thing still exists,
Mm-hmm.
just not in that form anymore.
It's interesting
Hmm.
because like the age that those like the age group of the kids in those stories is also approximately, if I'm remembering my ed psych classes correctly, is approximately the age at which like the developmental stage at which most kids start to realize like that my parents are not invincible, they don't know everything. Like those kind of realizations are about when that starts to hit, like and that there's so much else out here in the world, like the kind of like bigness of it all, I think, is about when that starts to set in. So I
Yeah.
think that
Well,
probably plays into the into the way that media is written.
And that's what odds and ends it actually says here in the chat, which is I guess that's what coming of age kind of is, though. It's grappling with loss of childhood in some ways. Just got
Yep.
back from watching All My Sons, so this is hitting me really deep. Fair enough. Yes, Dean,
Favorite?
I fully agree with you. I know a lot of people hated it, but I loved that show. It was very good for a lot of different reasons that I think were far too nuanced for the type of audience that the show attracted. So it was, yeah. Anyway, but I agree. I love that show.
It was really good.
It was really well done. But I think, unfortunately, some of the core themes of that show flew over the heads of their attracted audience. So, yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
it did not do as well as it should have. But what I was gonna say was, oh, okay. So another question, actually, which is actually a question that we asked in that Ramblemancy episode, which was the Ramblemancy episode about the high school as a setting, which is what attracts us to coming of age stories. What do you think attracts us to, like, this is a very similar question because it's a similar genre, but specifically the coming of age story. What do you think it is that attracts us, those of us who've already kind of done that, who have gone through it? What attracts us to that? Because like all the time you hear people saying like, oh, I don't miss being insert younger age here, but like we still fully engage with this very popular genre. So like, what is it about that?
That's a really good question.
And I don't have an answer. I'm asking it purely because like I truly don't know.
I very much like, I think I kind of touched on it a little bit like very like at the beginning when we started talking, but there's just like something about like the emotion behind being a kid who like and getting to be a hero, being a kid and getting to go on an adventure. And there's just something about that emotion that some people just like that like still resonates in a nostalgic way. And like for me, that's probably a little bit of it, but I think there's just, I don't know, kids being heroes. I don't know, there's something about that that is just so like touching to me. Like I love kids finding themselves, like we've talked about this before, not on stream, but like kids are just little people and like they're they're not like other like they're just little people and they just need guidance and sometimes they make mistakes and like there's just, I don't know, becoming a person, like finding your autonomy and like going out there and just like having an adventure and feeling powerful in a like as little kids, like you don't always get to feel like that. Like a lot of the times adults don't take you seriously or they're dismissive where like you don't always have like the best relationship with the adults in your life, but like you can still be your own person. I don't know if this really answers the question, but there's just something about all of that type of mood in a storytelling setting that is just so, I don't know, feels so good to like bear witness to, because like even if we as the audience didn't have like a good time as a kid, like getting to vicariously live through a kid who did have a good time and got to be a powerful hero, like there's just, I think there's just something about that that is just so like either cathartic or just nostalgic in a bittersweet way, or like nostalgia for a time you didn't get to have. I don't know if I'm really making any sense of
No, I
this,
mean,
but
like,
that's kind of how I feel
that
about
makes
it.
perfect sense. And like I'm seeing a lot of there's so many good answers to this question in the chat, and like many of them agree with you. And like there's yeah, like there's so many like
There's and it's a lot of like I was going to say a lot of similar things. Like there's something about reclaiming that feeling of discovery and like of truly feeling like powerful and invincible, like I can do this, right? There's something very powerful about tapping back into the conviction that I think that kids have in a lot of those moments, and just like in the even in the way that like a small child will just spin you these amazing ridiculous tales and they'll just go on and on and on and on until they fall asleep.
yeah, and
But
that's kind of what Dean was saying here earlier, which is I lost my childhood long ago and now I've reclaimed it. Which yeah, like I think that's a very powerful draw to this genre. Odds and Ends says maybe trying to deal with how we have changed and deciding if it was a change for the better, which is an answer that I really really like, and that
Mhm.
resonates
ooh,
with me a
yeah.
lot. Um, Ooh, Dean says the coming of age stories make you remember the good times, the simpler times, and the times when you truly felt invincible. Yeah, like what yeah, like what you were just saying, John. And then John Numa says maybe something relating to relating to others. The question, was I normal? Yeah, absolutely. And Gemini, I like this answer too, which is we all wish for a brighter future, and these stories represent that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, I mean, because kids do sort of like youth do sort of like represent the future, and like if we can access this media where kids are, I don't know, tackling the things that we as adults find difficult to handle too, like there's something reassuring about that to us, I think. Um,
Yeah, yeah. Um, and Chaos Crepe, welcome. Tonight we are talking about the kids on bikes saving the world trope. So not necessarily the game Kids on Bikes, but just sort of the trope that the game is based on.
Also, it's Caitlin's birthday all week.
Also, it's Caitlin's birthday starting from now until, through
Well put.
actual birthday and possibly even beyond.
Well said. Cheers, Kaitlin.
Thanks.
Remy said something interesting too, which is, for me at least, it feels like experiencing something I missed and never got to have those adventures or experiences. Yeah.
The nostalgia
Absolutely.
for the childhood you never had. Yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
That's a powerful one.
Yeah. And odds and ends also with continuing really excellent points, which is, and being a kid and fully believing in something in an uncomplicated way and not needing to fully understand to believe something. Yes.
Yes.
I love that. That's, yeah.
There's this piece of our brain that finishes developing around the time you're in your early to mid 20s, that helps like temper emotional response, and in a lot of ways it's very nice to have that, because you at a certain point are like, okay, this isn't literally the worst thing that I've ever felt, I will be okay, this is gonna be fine, right? But I think, you know, there is something to be said for also just losing that unwavering like belief in things that like the
everything
richness
is the
of
biggest deal in the world.
exactly as somebody who's taught middle schoolers for a couple of years, like everything is the biggest deal in the world to you as a middle schooler. Every single day, everything that happens,
it's like, and I will try to get through this with as few spoilers as possible for Fantasy High. I will do my absolute best, but it's a perfect example of this situation of like the everything is, when you're a kid, is the biggest deal, right? Which in that game, one of the characters used like two of the luck points granted to them by the luck feat to avoid another character finding out who they had a crush on, and it was amazing.
I remember that.
Like,
Yep.
like that if that doesn't say high schooler, then I don't know what does.
Like, oh god, yeah, I'm playing like a high school age kid in one of the Cypher games that I play in right now, and like the whole world is falling down around all of the characters heads, but like one of the characters' friends like kissed her on the cheek or something, and for like the next half a session that was the only thing that she could think about.
I think that also ties a little bit into the like everything is the biggest thing in the world, tying into like the metaphor of a lot of like Kids on Bikes things, where the metaphor of it is whatever it is, like the big thing they're dealing with is actually something else, and so it feels bigger and it's this huge thing. And so I think that also like ties a little bit, crosses over into like plot points, and like, so whatever they're dealing with, even if it isn't like the literal manifestation of something, it is the biggest thing. And like, I mean, in some of them it is, like, again, like the loss of childhood, like the growing up and the losing of whatever, like that is, it still feels like a big deal. It's like a sad thing to like think back on and feel sad about, but like, yeah, like everything being the biggest thing in the world and it becoming bigger in your minds and things like that is very cool. I love seeing things like where it's you see things from the point of view of the kid or from their imagination point of view, and then like later you find out that it was all like their own creation. Like I haven't seen a ton of things like that. I know someone in my senior studio class made a short film that was essentially that, but like I think that's also a very cool thing. And like, I don't know if this is actually a thing, but I could see that being a take on, like, in the end of a film, you would have no idea if the if everything that happened was just childhood imagination or was it a real thing that happened. And I don't know, I think that's kind of a unique take on some stuff, but man.
Ooh, I like this. That what Dean says. No matter how big that thing is, it's never bigger than their loyalty to each other. Friendship is also a
Yes.
driving point. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was the power of friendship all along. That is also my favorite trope.
Yeah.
That is like those two together makes like
Mhm.
the perfect, like they're always hand in hand, but like it was the power of friendship all along.
sorry.
Like so good.
I'm sorry. I know Freeman and we both saw it. John leaves the room and Suki uses it as an opportunity to squeeze in the door.
To squeeze in through. Yep, that was perfect.
She has arrived.
She has arrived.
Sleight of cat.
Sleight of cat.
I call that a sleight of cat.
Sleight of paw.
Sleight of paw. That's even better. Well said. Yeah.
That is actually a kind of a point in or what's supposed to be a point in like the It films. I will not shut up about this movie. Hey, welcome to Hyperfixation Station. But like the point like of it is like the reason that they're able to defeat the monster, the first defeat to put the monster to sleep the first time is because of their like loyalty to each other, because their bonds are stronger than the fear of the monster. Like that is
Yeah.
fucking love that, like that. And no matter what the trope, what the genre, what the story, like if there's something about the power of belief or the power of like your love to one another is what makes you strong enough, like I fucking love that shit. That makes me so happy.
Yeah. You all right, John?
Yeah, sorry. It just sounded like somebody set off a bomb a few blocks away, and then again, and then again and again, and then I don't know if somebody's setting off a bunch of fireworks on this. It is really close to July 4th in that it's not at all.
No. Yeah.
So I was just trying to figure out what was causing the series of explosions that I heard.
Interesting. We have a park
Huh.
across the street behind the school, and people like to set off fireworks. Fireworks that leave the ground are illegal in Minnesota. So, of course, I see about like 500, up in the air, like
Of course.
on the park
Yeah.
across the street. So I feel
Classic.
you.
Actually, Amethyst Cat Lady, it is not, because that was 2 weeks ago.
John, I feel like as your friend, it's my duty to warn you that your resident fur goblin snuck in the door as you left. She just like, oh, he's not in there, and
Ho ho.
Yep.
Just like walked in like
He has arrived.
I
looks like everything's coming up, Suki.
looks like I know where she is right now too,
Yeah.
because she's as many pets are, she's not a big fan of fireworks. So I could see her.
Right,
I could
yeah.
see like I look back in and I could see her like standing with her head just like peeked around the corner of my bedroom door, like looking
Yeah.
at me while I was out there. And then as soon as I looked away, she must have just like slipped in here under my bed.
Dean says, I have two friends that I've known for more than 30 years and the other for over 40, and together we are like this superhero by our powers combined.
Yes.
So those coming of age movies resonate with me on so many levels. Yep, fair. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's I agree. I think that's Listen, if you haven't figured it out yet by watching any of Rule of Lore's content, we really like the power of friendship trope. It's a thing that we do. a lot.
Writing one of the arcs of for Dungeons and Dorm Rooms literally was just me over and over in the microphone going, power friendship all along, it was the power friendship all along, it was the power friendship all along.
Yeah. Oh, also, good night, Olivia. Thanks
Good
for
night,
being
Olivia.
here.
Good
Olivia
night.
says once again,
Olivia.
happy early
Sleep
birthday
well.
to the legend.
Bye.
Thank you. I'll be here all night.
There she goes.
And all week, because that's how long Caitlin's birthday lasts.
More than a week away, actually.
Yeah. It is. It is.
Set yourself up, bro. Called this shot way soon.
I was gonna say something. I was gonna bring something up about. Oh, Dungeons and Dorm Rooms.
Yeah.
Dungeons and Dorm Rooms. Yeah, I remember very specifically the day that we there's a particular part of one of the arcs that we figured out, where like the day that we figured it out. We were like talking through it, and we got very excited. It was just Kaitlin and I pacing around the room, like talking
On the phone, like
very loudly.
oh shit, I've got it. Like,
And then we just suddenly stopped. There was like a beat, and then just Power, friendship, all along.
Too long, yeah.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
Yep.
That's
That's how we write things in the writer's room.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember there was a staff meeting a while back where everyone in the Discord saw us online, was like, "Oh, I bet they're plotting," and it was literally just us sitting around going "nope" to each other
Yeah.
in increasingly ridiculous
Nope.
voices. Like,
Yoop. Nope.
Let's see, what did I see? Kiko says, I moved to Colorado a few years ago. I would hear these periodic booms and vibrations. I'd ask the locals, and they'd shrug. Googled it, found a few articles about strange booming sounds. Then my dad pointed out the military bases nearby. I still think they're trying to keep a great old one contained. You know what?
Oh my
It
god,
would
it's
be in
the SC
Colorado.
it's the SCP
Same-
facility that we escaped from at
Oh
Gen
yeah,
Con.
that was us. We
same
did
brain
that.
cell. Oh my God.
That was us. Yikes.
One of these days I will go back and finish polishing the story that I wrote about that.
It's very depressing. That was a very depressing game, but it was
Yep.
so fucking good.
It's a very
Was.
depressing game because somebody decided to make it that way.
I touched a painting.
No, I'm not talking about that part. I'm talking about everything that came after that moment. Everything that came after that. One of those things, the inciting incident was an accident. It was a choice to make us all hurt as much as you two did.
Every day I wake up and choose violence.
Listen, you can't absolve Burn of innocence here.
I super can. They don't ever set out to make emotional hard
Burn
points.
never
That was their
intended for any of that to happen.
That
So-
game was supposed to be a gag game. We're the ones who brought the tone down, and they just matched us.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Burn was
God.
doing what any good GM would do and is matching what the directions that the players run. So
Mm-hmm.
Oof.
They go for shockers and mystery. Like hard hitting moments are up to the players.
yeah. Oh man, I was gonna say something else about
Power French Ball
No, it was about something different.
Lou.
Oh, so I partially remembered, which is that there was like one of those early, like one of those like early miniseries that I watched when I was a kid that I finally remembered, but I forgot again. So this was a non-topic, a non-statement, basically.
Nailed it.
Never didn't have it.
I quite
did.
literally did, in fact, at some point not have it.
I did.
Literally right now.
Oh my
Odds and ends, mumbles, Power French Ball.
That's literally like half of my conversations with these guys. Is it Power French Ball? Power French Ball?
Gemini, I'm not sure that's true.
You can't not
I am
have it.
not entirely sure that is correct. What was I gonna say about? It's just gonna be the rest of this episode is just gonna be by the rest of this episode I mean like as of 3 minutes ago. It's just gonna be me like cycling through. Yes, tangent. Okay, what was I gonna say?
Yeah.
Wash, rinse, repeat. Well, I actually, unless anybody has anything particularly pressing or burning to say, Freeman, anything to add to the end of this this conversation?
Not really, except that Kaitlin, happy birthday.
Happy birthday, dear
Thanks.
Caitlin.
Oh, and the camera hates me
feel
for
like-
you.
Oh gosh, no, it's definitely time to stop because Amethyst Cat Lady is bringing back an old gag and it's time to go.
Yeah, we have to get out before the butt puns get into
Yeah.
full swing.
Yeah.
Ah,
But
At
hashtag
least it wasn't
bucket.
half an hour before the end of the episode this time, so. Hashtag
I'm
butt cut.
sorry,
Hashtag butt cut.
excellent.
but also I'm not.
hashtag butt cut.
All right.
They suck.
All right, we
And get you found out for harboring a stowaway.
we are gonna go. But before we do, remember, there's a handful of things to remember. First of all, tomorrow potentially a stream. No, there will be. We're streaming.
Don't make me a liar, Lucas.
We're streaming Conan Exiles again, John and I, and then of course on Monday at noon 15 Pacific time, is when the Infinite Horizon season 1 recap goes on YouTube. It'll also air during the final episode of It Came from the Loop during the break, so that will be there as well.
A reminder, it is 80 to 90 hours of content condensed into 15 minutes.
We're just
if
really-
anything, watch it to see that impressive feat,
Honestly-
because the writers did great.
You can listen to like the three of us, our dulcet tones for 15 minutes. Like it's
Yeah.
great.
Watch us convincingly pretend not to be so tired of working on it. we were
working on it for
very
like a-
convincing about how like hiding how done we were with that.
If you want the full experience, just imagine every 2.5 minutes or so me yelling, "God, fuck you!" at the shotcut program, because it kept crashing.
And then
while I was
several
trying to
hours
put it
later,
together.
me doing the same
Same
thing.
thing.
So while I added in the audio, like the audio editing. So
Yep.
anyway, so that's the fun thing that is also coming. The final episode of It Came from the Loop will air this Wednesday, the 14th, at 6 p.m. Pacific time, right here. Finale. Oh, and I think I didn't say at the beginning is that we're also going to be having an after show wrap up with the whole cast the following
Yeah.
week on the 21st during the same time slot. So you'll get to ask all your questions and talk about, Loop. Hear them talk about their reactions to It Came from the Loop.
Can
So
ask them for character lore. Ask Alex about character lore.
Please do it.
Alex went so ham creating a character. You guys, it's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Very, very exciting. I'll ask all your burning questions. What choices they almost made, what their other theories were. You can ask me if stuff didn't get revealed. Like, it's gonna be fun. It'll be very exciting.
Yes. Gene says, when are we gaming together, Lucas? I don't know. I don't have time. I'm sorry. We'll figure it out. You have something special for us. I don't know whether to be concerned or excited. I'm gonna go with yes.
I'm very excited. Also a little afraid, but very excited.
Guys, I'm glad my D&D was postponed so I could come find this. I'm not
glad
glad
to
that
have
your
you
D&D was
here.
postponed, but
Well.
I'm glad that you were here
Yeah.
and
Thanks
able to
for
be
hanging
here.
out.
Okay.
Caitlin,
Yes.
you've got exciting news coming up.
Yeah.
I do. Sunday,
Sunday.
I get to be another superhero.
Nice.
Everybody on so Sunday at 5 p.m. Pacific on Q Times. We are premiering Power Play, which is our basic. I think it's more rooted in comic book tabletop RPG actual play show led by Rick Budd. It's going to be me, Sam, Omar, and B, and we are all going to be superheroes. And I am so excited for you guys to meet these characters.
Yeah.
It's a fun crew. So premiere episode, be there. It's going to be really fun. I'm excited.
Yeah. Let's see. What was I gonna say? I'm responding to
Loop Q&A after the show.
yes.
Yeah, the following week, the following
Yeah.
Wednesday after the finale.
that be Wednesday, October 21st. Okay.
I've got
Yeah, John,
one
go
cool
for it.
thing to plug. I have a new blog post up on my website today that's about like creating and like secondary creative pursuits and stuff like that. So that's very fun. But also really cool is next week the Kickstarter for a project that I'm working on launches called Articles of Arcana. It is a tarot themed supplement for the sort of rules light fantasy role-playing game called Troika. And like the two blend in a really cool way. Troika's got like these backgrounds that contain the lore, and tarot, like it's sort of like meant to be interpreted however you want it, and tarot kind of like meshes very cool, like in a very interesting way with that. So there's a ton of really, really cool art for the project. So if you want to check it out, I have posted the link in chat. I highly recommend you do. It's very, very cool. There's a lot of cool artists, and Matthew Gravlin makes really cool games. Same
I was
person
gonna
who
say,
made-
if you've ever played or heard of Mall Kids, Matthew Gravlin, same guy. Check out his
Mhm.
stuff.
Yeah.
Good friend of mine. Very cool dude.
All right. Well, our final announcement of the evening is happy birthday, Caitlin.
Thanks.
All right, everybody. Thanks so much for being here. And hopefully see you tomorrow maybe Wednesday, but if not, we'll see you the next time you decide to come roll with us. Good night and good zone. Yes, odds and ends. There is a Discord. You can click on it right there. It's right there in the link. Anyway, good night and good zone, everybody. Good night.